Ella, can you remember the first time you did a play?
It was probably a nativity, and I was probably yeah, I do. I mean, I was told I was Mary in a nativity, and I think I had a doll for Jesus, and I think by the end of it I was hanging it off by one leg and kicking it with my foot, and I think that sense of mischievousness has never left me. How about you?
How long ago was that? I'm interested to know.
I was probably about 4.
Good. I'm pleased.
What about you? Were you a Mary in the nativity?
I never was. I do remember playing the recorder in a nativity, which I don't think was in the original nativity score. But
the piper in the Bible.
No, and I had to do a song about the gifts for the baby. I remember that quite clearly when I was about 7. Isn't that funny? Most people probably did start out doing nativities. But I was sort of always. I remember playing Snow White at primary school when I think I was 8, and I remember this chap called Lee, who was playing Prince Charming, refused to kiss my hand. And you have to kiss Snow White to wake her up, and he wouldn't do it. He went like that, and he used to go really prominently, kind of go like that in the air. And I remember being really cross because he wasn't being authentic enough.
Really? So even back then, you had a sense
realism,
of realism and naturalistic acting.
Absolutely.
Wow. But do you think that gave you a taste, or was it sort of later that you developed a real interest in acting?
I remember we had a fantastic drama teacher at my secondary school called Rowena Phipps, and she used to write a pantomime every year, and it was very political, which we all of course didn't realise. We didn't know why we were saying these lines and the whole audience of mums and dads would be laughing.
Yeah.
And that was always great fun because it was kind of comedy.
Yeah.
But then no, I think I really decided to do acting because I wanted to do so many different things and I could never really choose. And I think that if you're lucky enough to get work as an actor, you can really sort of do all of those.
Be a million people.
Yeah.
Other than yourself.
Yeah. Well, and probably a little bit of escapism there, I'm sure.
Absolutely.
I kind of prefer playing characters than playing myself. But how about you? When did you?
No, it was literally, I was a show off, and I still am. It's that very, very short answer.
Did you ever want to do anything else?
Yeah, I do now want to be a director someday, which I know a lot of actors say, but that's something I can see myself doing.
And is that when you're working, do you think of things that you would do differently and things like that?
I just think when I'm involved in a play, I find it very hard to just look after myself. I sort of poke my nose in other people's business and think, well, that would work better if, and I see a play as a whole. And sometimes I suffer for that because I realise I haven't worked at all on what I'm doing. But I think that calls to me, and I think I know deep down that that's kind of something I'd be interested in. But it's very difficult because there are so many amazing directors out there.
Having said that, having worked with Ella, you're a real problem solver, I think. You're always there. If anything ever goes wrong, you're right there at the front, on the front line, saying, I can help you fix this. And I think that's something that you really need.
Well, more importantly, at the moment in the dressing room, I've got a competition going. I went to a pound shop the other day, and I bought a colouring in book and some felt tips that have now run out. And I decided that everyone in the dressing room had to do 1 page of colouring in sandcastles or peacocks, and everyone's got one thing to do, and I told them it's a competition, and people are obsessed. They're almost missing their cues to go on stage because they can't find the green felt tip, and they've all turned into 5-year-olds, and they're all sucking up to me and going, yes Miss Ella, yes Miss Ella, just so they can win the prize. Charity's even been not only colouring hers in but embroidering it with gold thread and buttons. Sorry, that I shouldn't say that. I shouldn't say that.
But I am going to win though, aren't I?
We shall see. We'll find out. But getting back to the point, what do you think currently is happening with theatre at the moment?
I think that there's an interesting trend of verbatim theatre that I quite love. Having done a verbatim play, quite a serious one about the London bombings, it's a really interesting thing to do, especially as an actor, because often you get to play lots of different characters and it's often monologues to the audience, and the idea is that you very specifically represent what the person said in their interview. I'll start again. You take a series of interviews, and from that you cut them down. You can't possibly have the full interview there, and you cut them down to sort of sizable monologues, and it becomes like reportage theatre, or sort of like watching a documentary, but you have the actor in between the real person and the audience, which allows, I think, the audience to feel close. They feel like they're the interviewer. and that's a lovely thing to do, and I think very interesting to watch. It creates a really unusual space because it feels very live, and you feel like you're hearing something from the horse's mouth.
Yeah. And Robin Soames, who's in our play, plays Anthony Absolute, he really was the, I'm going to go out and say it, he was the first guy to sort of anchor this sort of verbatim theatre, I reckon, and really go with it. It's his passion, it's his love, and he's been doing it for a very long time, and he's a phenomenal writer.
I was sort of quite nervous meeting Robin, actually, because I hadn't quite realised until the day before rehearsal that he was this really prolific writer, and that I'd seen lots and lots and lots of his work. I'd seen A State Affair, and I'd seen Talking to Terrorists, and I'd read about Mixed Up North, which was quite contentious in the press, and he's just a wonderful, wonderful writer and an amazing, terrifyingly amazing actor. He gets sort of regular rounds of applause in our play. I think we're all quite jealous.
Yeah, massively jealous.
No, he's fantastic.
And he'll come into and he'll have this huge round of applause, and we'll come into the dressing room. We get, how was that, Robin? And he'll go, you're all right. And we'll go, what? So yeah, I'm going to move it on and ask about what parts you've been doing recently in the last year, or what you're looking forward to in the future.
I'm looking forward to anything that's a challenge, or sort of, as I was saying before, anything that requires learning a new skill is always very good. I went up for a part recently, and I won't say what it is because I'll jinx it, but it would involve sort of archery and beating people up and things like that. And I think that it could be anything.
I wonder what film
it could
that
be
is.
anything. It's not necessarily a film. Anyway, moving on. Anything that involves learning something new is always very exciting.
Yeah, that's true.
Film or theatre or whatever, television, and working with people that sort of excite you and you learn something from is always amazing. How about you?
Maybe working abroad. That's a bit quizzical, but I'm potentially doing something in America, and that will be amazing to sort of. I've never moved somewhere for a long time to work, and I did a film in Germany at the beginning of last year called Womb with Eva Green and Matt Smith, and it was amazing just sort of living in this northern Ireland of Germany, sort of like a German Jersey or Guernsey, very sort of right-wing and thatched. And but actually to live somewhere full time for about 6 months would be amazing. I mean, it's the dream, isn't it? But I think I'd miss my friends. I miss Chariton.
No, you've only just met me.
I know, she's paranoid that we're not going to stay in touch.
We're never going to see each other again. No, I hope you get a job abroad. It's so fun.
Thanks.
I spent 2 months in Cuba in the summer doing a very exciting film with Carlos Acosta and Eva Merkel.
There you go. Phone call for the important man behind the camera. Carlos Acosta, that one amazing.
It was, and there were some lovely scenes where he was playing a dance teacher and went back to one of his dance schools that he started in when he was very, very tiny, and there was this beautiful scene where he was teaching lots of young children to dance. It was very moving, but lovely.
What's
really
the film
nice
called?
Day of the Flowers.
Day of the Flowers, out now.
Well, it's not finished yet.
Not finished
Not
yet.
out now.
Day of the Flowers,
Out
not yet
soon.
finished.
Not yet finished.
Go and see it.
When it's out.